everyone, welcome to a Chandler's channel. I'm Tracy, I'm your host, and today's session is our weekly reading for, let me check for you, for June 10th to 16th. So we're well into June. So if that's why you're here, hold on, we're going to get right to that. But as always, I like to touch back on the week before. And the week before, Whitehawk gave us a bit of homework. He wanted us to reflect on what we'd like to see come to pass in the next 10 years here on Earth. So, did you reflect? If so, leave me a comment. Let me know what you reflected upon or not. I mean, that might be very personal to you as well. If you didn't reflect, there's always time to reflect. Start now. And he said it also would be a week of joy and a jolt of joy. So for me, what I can share with you is I did have a fun week because I woke up on a Tuesday morning and I said, you know what? I want to go see New Kids on the Block because Boys to Men and 98 Degrees are playing, and I love Boys to Men, right? So I got on the phone on the concert line on our radio station and I started dialing because I wanted to win tickets. And then I also told my sister this, and so she got to work seeing if she could get me tickets. So talk about seizing the day, right? So would you believe on the radio station and calling that one of them was they wanted the 13th caller. I was the 12th. Then they wanted the 25th caller. I was the 20th. So talk about being so close yet so far, right? And then the concert got postponed because they got laid up at the border crossing over. So it was on the Wednesday instead. And so Wednesday morning my sister texted me to say, I got us tickets. So off we went to see New Kids on the Block, in a box no less. So it was awesome, especially for a highly sensitive person like me. So I didn't wake up the next day feeling like I was hungover. No, not because I drank, because, you know, I did enjoy a bevy, but that's all. I was driving, so we have to be responsible. But they were really, really good. All three of them. And New Kids on the Block did not disappoint. They are quite the showmen, and that's what you go to a show for, right? Because you want to be entertained and you want to be engaged. So they certainly did engage us. So that was my week of fun. So yay, it was fun for me. So without further delay or ado, let's go get Whitehawk and see what lays ahead for us this coming week. And he says, indeed, without further delay, let's go get the big guy and see what he has to say. He says, well, he's a little melancholy and kind of sad. He says, no, it is not so much that I am sad. He says, as well, I do not have great news for you, he says. Is really, he says, what it all comes down to. And so he and I are walking. We're actually on foot this time, and we're walking. And he's wearing jeans. And you can see it in his whole body. What do they call it? Body language. He says, come, sit. So we go and we sit on a bench. And it is like, it's funny because Whitehawk's coming across to me as darker skinned. I mean, he is First Nation, so he of course does have darker skin than you and I would have, as if you're Caucasian. But he seems to be coming across as even more darker skinned to me. And he says, indeed, there is good reason for that, he says, for I do not feel myself much this week, he says. I feel much like an imposter, he says. I feel much like I am not myself. I feel more like someone else, he says. And as I'm saying that, JC knocks or calls to let me know that he's around. It's very unusual for Whitehawk to be, one, not himself, and two, he's really quite down and in despair, like he despairs. And he's not really looking at me as we sit on the bench and talk, and it's worrying me. It's quite worrying. And I mean, his face is very, very dark, almost like I can't see his eyes or his mouth or really any of his facial features. And his hair is short and dark, and gosh, it's almost like he's not so much that he's not himself as, gosh, it's almost like, you know, you'd maybe be in a mine, you know what I mean? Like they come out with that coal, like all that black soot all over them. For indeed, that's how he's appearing to me, almost like that's why he's darker than normal. It's got this covering on him, of sorts, like soot or something. His hair as well. You can't see really who he is underneath all that stuff. And like he's really in a lot of pain, like not pain as in physical pain, he's in emotional pain. Like there's emotional pain going on because he wants to talk, but he can't really talk about it or so on. And I sit there and I'm like, just like want to say, I'm like, Whitehawk, like what? God, oh my God, tell me, what is it, you know? And he's like, you just feel like he's got that big lump in his throat, like he's just gonna break down crying, right? He says, it's like, I can't tell you, he says, I can't tell you, it's awful, he says, it's more horrible, he says, than you could ever think of, Tracy, he says, more horrible than you could ever think of, he says. I am trapped, he says, I am trapped. And he's like, I can't breathe, I'm trapped, I can't breathe, he says. And he's like on the bench and he's going like this, right? He's like, I can't breathe, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, like, oh my God, Whitehawk, what can I do for you? You know, and he's like, pray. He says, please pray for me. And our ones and the other ones, he says, please. And then it's like, he's crawling, like, right? He's lying down and he's crawling, trying to, like, get somewhere, to reach somewhere, to, I don't know. Like, he just is crawling for his life. He's lost. He's in despair. Oh my goodness. And when I look, like, we really are in, gosh, it's an enclosed area. I want to say it's like, is it rectangular or square, right? Like, feels like it's underground or it's covered somehow, you know. And he's trapped. And when he finally crawls up into a space, an area where he's just laying there in just complete, utter despair. it's hard for me to watch this because I don't know how to help him as he sits there peering out at me, just looking at me, and I don't know how to help him. And I say, how can I help you? And he looks at me. He says, pray for me. Pray for me. And then I hear that poem. Or I don't know if he's saying it. Let me see. Pray for me, he says. And he puts his head down on his hands. He says, for I have miles to go before I sleep. For I have miles to go before I sleep. And he puts his head down and he just waits. He just listens. He hopes. He prays. And then he waves me off like, go now, go, go now. So I leave the scene, I leave the reading. And then I see me doing my channel trailer, videotaping that. And then I hear, I have miles to go before I sleep. So I'll leave it there. God bless Whitehawk. God bless. And he says, God bless you, Tracy. So that is our weekly reading. As often, I don't know what it means. It could be precognitive to the world. It could be precognitive to just our lives, who are the ones that are listening to this. It could be precognitive just to my life. But only time will tell. And we must move forward because, like I said, you know, channeling, it's not a science. So it could be this week. It could have already happened. It could be coming in the upcoming weeks. So we just keep moving forward, you know, knowing, keeping in mind what this message is, or even not, because maybe it'll happen anyways. And then we go back and we see it and we go, oh, that's what that message meant, you know. So don't worry, don't dismay, don't despair. Just keep moving forward and let's see what this message means. So that was our weekly reading. Move forward. And our next reading is our topic of the week reading, which is Body Wisdoms 2. So until then, play safe, be kind, subscribe. It's free. Like, comment, be kind, keep it clean. Share. I'm Tracy for our Chandler's Channel. God bless.